All right, I think we're live this time. I made a mistake in the last video. I had the wrong camera. I have two YouTube channels, and so I have multiple cameras. Sometimes I record with. Today, we're going to be talking about Section 8 consulting reviews. It's always interesting when you're talking about your own reviews and what people have to say about you. And considering that I do such an interesting thing with people, some of the reviews I get are actually pretty interesting. Some are funny, some are sad, and some are just bad. That's life in business of any type. So we talk about that, but I also want to let you guys know that we do have a chat window. And this chat window, I don't know on the phones. People have been asking me, if you're on a phone, how do I chat with you? Well, try to find it. If not, try to Google it. I don't know. I've not figured that part out. Also, besides the chat, there is a link in the bottom of the description there, which will allow you to view the links. Now, look, the reviews. My apology. I'm also going to give you a link now, and for those of you that can see it through chat, and just bear with me a minute, because I have to go through my website in order to do so. And let's see if I can get you that quick. Actually, I think I have it right here. All right, so here's the link. I'm going to copy it into the chat. And so you can, take a look at the reviews. Now, as many of you know, we're also going to be talking about the Section 8 consulting work I do and all the different personalities I deal with all over America, including Hawaii and Alaska. After 20 years, you deal with a lot of people, and I'm talking not just tenants. I deal with landlords. I've had housing authorities pay for time just to see what I know. I'm pretty sure I've been investigated once or twice, and I know that people from city and state offices, including about 19 different states, have looked into me. And, I still prevail all these years because what I do is legal. And I'm really good at what I do, and then people find it helpful. So I'm going to say a few hellos real quick before we get into these reviews. Hi, Iris Q. Yep, I'm doing pretty good. Lady T says hello. Manifestation of God says hey. My love more. Hey, from Vegas. We love Vegas today. Today, I'm not technically in Vegas, but I really wanted to address that part of the nation today, Las Vegas and Nevada and that area. And so if y'all would just hold off on some of the questions, we'll get to that part. And of course, anybody has questions about Section 8 and low-income housing, we'll address that after the reviews. So, all right, it's due date. Let's take a look at these reviews. So Ryan Robinson says, Mr. Roulette gave me the best advice ever. He has an extensive knowledge and answers. So I appreciate that review for what it is. And Mona Spalding says that, what if I have black mold? The landlord offered $1,000 to move out, haven't taken me to court, and I have a therapy dog harassing me, and so on. Sometimes reviews aren't just reviews. Sometimes people will try to make a personal appeal when they give reviews from my website. And that's a good example of that. Spider says, looking forward to working with you. Sometimes people give me reviews before they even actually, before we even have a consult. Carrie Bruner says, it was great information. He gave me hope. Thank you so much. So she kept it very short. George Henry said, I have found my consult with Mr. Roulette to be hopeful. I hope I spelled that right. He's very informative, helpful, and very straightforward. Would definitely use again. Thank you very much. So I appreciate that, Mr. George Henry. Mark Goodman says, wow, Jay was incredible, helpful, working through a very complex Section 8 situation. Well worth every penny of his reasonable fee. Highly recommended. You can tell Mark's one of the older gentlemen, because I tend to tell with reviews whether a person's a little bit younger or older. Older people tend to be more cordial. So, by the way, guys, while I'm reading these reviews, let's also talk about the Section 8 and consulting stuff that people need, because I know a lot of you come here, you have questions. So feel free to hit me with those questions. Nobody wants to be bored to tears hearing about reviews, but I thought I would do that in the conclusion of this video. So until y'all hit me with a few questions, I'm going to continue with the reviews. George Henry says, hey, Jay, how's it going? Manifestation of Godness. I'd like to see you again. Well, I'd like to see you too. So if you feel like you can utilize the service, you really want to get through this. Look, these, guys, these are really, I've always been preaching this since the beginning of the year. These are really just perilous times, People are calling housing authorities, they're always closed, and the people at the housing authority are telling them the truth, but not the whole truth about what the preferences are, why they may or may not accept them. I know one lady emailed me today and said, well, they told me if only my house burned down, could I get a voucher? Now, you know that's just bullshit, right? These people at the housing authority will tell you anything to get you to hang up to lighten their load. Never, ever take advice. It's like I've always told you guys, look, if you get pulled over and the cop beats you up and then you drive down to the substation and he's also the person that's going to investigate himself, you see a problem with that? You guys are calling the housing authority expecting these people to actually. So let's just say we called the housing authority. Hi, Mary, how are you doing at the housing authority? Oh, well, I'm doing well. So could you tell me how I can get you fired? You see the point? The housing authority is not going to benefit or aid you in your efforts to get a voucher ever. A lot of what they tell you is convoluted and is usually not the straight truth or the whole truth. A lot of you need answers, and you're going to the very people that don't want to give it to you. That's why it exists. Look, when we're running an honest program, when we're actually using tax federal dollars and state dollars for honest purposes, and when people want to be judicious, good, and honest, that's the day I'll just shut this channel off, and then we can all drive by the housing authority and get a voucher. But we've been watching this play out for decades, and it doesn't really seem to change. There are some housing authorities that operate ethically. There are others that hire unethical people. So, we always have to deal with different situations, especially during an overheated housing market, especially during an eviction crisis. But, as I mentioned the other day in the last video, we've been dealing with a lot of emergency housing vouchers, flooding the market right now. And a lady called, talked with a lady today. They're handing out vouchers like there's no tomorrow. The problem is there's not a single place to rent in 3 different counties. You see the problem with that? So now we've gone from a reverse. Now we're flooding the market with emergency vouchers, and there's no landlords to be had. So, it's interesting. State to state, county to county, and town to town. Every situation requires a different method of thinking and a different level of skill. 20 years crossing all these states and counties trying to deal with it. You figure out different and unique ways to deal with different situations. Every year, thousands of clients dealing with them, and it's a lot to deal with sometimes. Now, guys, let me know if you can hear me clearly. I hope I'm not whispering through this $400 microphone. So I'm going to read a few more reviews, and I'm going to take a look at some more comments. Mark Goodman, wow, Jay was incredibly helpful working through. Okay, we already read that one. Kimberly says, my consultation went great. I appreciate the information given. Very valuable information was given. I now have the conference, or I guess you meant competence needed or knowledge. Mr. Roulette is an email away for answers for small questions, even more assurance. Now, I do answer emails quite frequently, sometimes within hours, but make no mistake, there are days I get tired of getting emails, especially when one person sends me 40 emails. I do have a record holder. One lady was having a moment. She sent me 70 emails in 2 hours. So you can see how that does actually just light me on fire and makes my blood boil. I don't like to be abused, I want to help people, just like the lady that called me from the bar, drunk as a $2 bill, and decided that she needed to speak to me at 3:30 in the morning. This is the kind of shit I deal with sometimes out of people. A lack of respect, despite me getting these people housed. I can appreciate the celebration to get a voucher, but you don't need to call me at 3 in the morning, okay? Because I'm not going to get drunk with you. I'm here to get you what you need. So let's take a look at a few comments real quick before I skip back to the reviews. I live in a senior center, Section 8 apartment, and I need to move to a better environment. I have several months left on my current lease. How do I get out without having to pay for several months left? Well, that's called arbitration or, being amicable. You speak with the landlord and say, look, you got 2 options here. There is financial issues, and I would like to simply sign out the lease. If you agree to that, I'll turn the unit back over, or we can make it an issue, and then we can drag it out, and then you can pay for a $450 court date, another $250 in that, and then plus whatever cost you've lost to keep me here. There's lots of ways to negotiate in a pleasant way. You know what? When I was about 19, I signed out of a lease once. I just told them, look, hey, things are, I don't like being here. If y'all have no disagreement, then we'll just, close it out, tear it up, and I'll just be on about my business. And so that, of course, that was a long time ago, but I would suggest doing that. There's not a legal way really to compel these people, except for in situations where something very dangerous happens, where a building's on fire, been flooded, and so on. And even then, it can be strenuous to get a landlord to agree to that, or get in city, state inspectors involved. And then often the result is not quite as favorable as you might have imagined for all the energy you would have spent. Moving back to a few more reviews about my service, real quick. And again, guys, I gave y'all a link you can find, and I'm going to put it back in the chat window if you want to take a look at the reviews at the same time as me. I'm actually reading my own reviews. So, Katie Rock, I am extremely impressed with Jay's knowledge and ability to advocate for me. This lady had a tough case. I'm not going to lie. You're talking about mounting between attorneys, in-house counsel, city inspectors, and other things. So there was a lot going on with that, and sometimes I get in very, very complex cases where it's can be, a lot of time invested. So it goes on to say, I have a master's degree in social work. I consider myself to be knowledgeable. Hiring Jay as a consultant just provided me with hope. I can't wait to update and complete another review. Once accepted for Section 8, I completely believe in Jay's ability. So she is a master licensed social worker. As many of you know, a lot of social workers, therapists, and counselors do hire me and put their case. They actually turn their caseload over to me. I don't mean clients' personal details, but I mean in respect to these people that have both having mental crises or other mental problems, and sometimes they have difficulty being able to get housing. And so social workers are designed to make you feel better. They're not housing advocates. So often they turn over that element of their case to me. Same thing with attorneys. Get a lot of attorneys that do everything from divorce court to family matters, and also family estates. And sometimes the estate comes along with a 93-year-old woman or a man, and then they turn that over to me to ensure that these low income individuals are left with assets, family, children, dog, whatever it may be, they're able to get it. So I am a resource in different ways. Let's take a few comments real quick. Rose finally got HCV in Illinois. For those who don't know, that is a housing choice voucher. And it took 2.5 years on the list. That's a pretty short time considering for Illinois. So I imagine you might have been in one of the smaller counties. Dealing with it is awful, self-righteous, and intimidating county employees. You were preaching to the choir saying that, but I agree with you absolutely. Housing authorities and the low-paid people they hired to be there rarely read the manuals and the training materials they get in order to do their job successfully. And so what you turn up with is a low-paid individual that does not know that much about what they do. They're completely or dependent on the one director of that particular housing authority to know everything. So what you have are puppets with strings that overwork, underpaid, and have attitudes. That is a great deal of the problem. It'd be a lot like turning over your housing cases to somebody that's handing cheeseburgers out of McDonald's. I do not see a lot of housing authority employees as being educated highly. Now, I'm not suggesting that's every housing authority, but I got to tell you, I would compare the housing specialist certificate as something that I could get out of a bubblegum machine, and I could pass that test 100 times over. So I'm not impressed when somebody puts the title or has certification of housing specialist. To me, that's a lot like getting your GED. So, but I'm not trying to bang it up with anybody. I'm just saying that if that is the total wisdom and knowledge that you have after what I know, I would say that you're in the percentage of 1.0001 of what I know. I definitely could compete with the entire housing authority at any state. And the one thing they can't do is verbatim. So I know their data manuals and other things. So when you take about 13,000 manuals and over 1 million pages of legislation, it would be a situation me talking face to face with a housing authority employee anywhere in this nation. There would be no comparison. They simply would not be able to even compete with my conversation. And I see that a lot. They just hang up or the phone line goes dead. What do you say when you know somebody has already mastered something you don't barely understand? So you're just cutting out coupons, vouchers out your drawer, and that's the extent of your abilities as a housing authority employee other than answering the phone. Anyways, Mercy Baron Jay was personable and concise with his information. He would definitely utilize his services again if I needed EV, and I think she meant DV, which is domestic violence. And then it goes on to say, even though I did a lot of research. So this is one of my more educated clients that did their own research to the fullest extent of their ability. And then they topped that by consulting with me. And then I filled in a lot of the blanks there for them. We're going to go on back to comments real quick. So I'm bouncing comments and reviews. Manifestation of God OG. I have places that accept vouchers, but I don't have a voucher. That's the reverse. So I've got people with too many vouchers and nowhere to go, and I've got people with I've got people that essentially don't have a voucher, but there's a ton of places to rent. So that's just looking at the country as a whole as we struggle through this housing crisis and what to do. I've had to let me tell you something. Back in 19, before the pandemic started, I had over 17 or 18 years of practice, so I knew exactly how to go for the neck when it came to the housing authority. I knew exactly, like a burglar, how to go in and get what I wanted from these people because I practiced it, refined it, and then of course, when you're dancing around hundreds of different housing authorities, I've heard every game they could play. So I already had a rebuttal to anything they tried. And then I'd already tested the legal limit of everything written in legislation. But the pandemic did something interesting. It shut it down, sent them home. And so they have more time to focus on the unnecessary stuff. And it definitely have more time to battle with me and my clients. So we've had to change the way that we jump through loopholes. We've had to change the way that we can influence the outcome of being on waiting list and the priorities, special preferences, and other things that we utilize in order to get vouchers quicker than the average person. The reason the average person fills out an application at a housing authority and does so poorly with it is because they're too damn honest to start with. Number two, questions are built into the housing authority application. The ones you think that you believe either one, you don't understand that well and maybe feel that it's non applicable. Those are usually the questions that have the most bang per buck. A lot of you guys are too ashamed to answer some questions. And the reason you're ashamed of answering some questions is simply because it's designed that way. It plays on you mentally. Oh, that could never be me. But you didn't know that would have probably shaved off about 3 years of your wait. So don't think there aren't clever people that sit in universities and other areas that design these particular applications to shame you into not answering certain things. And other times they'll create questions in a very clever way. And you're so confused that you answer it wrong. It's designed by nature to do so. That is how you thin the herd of cattle. If you got it and you know you're going to get hammered with a million people that want this, then the easiest way is to legally deceive people into tricking themselves into either long waits or giving the wrong answers. And that is a lot of the housing authority applications I see. We're going to move a few more reviews for Section8Consulting.com, which is my company, and just take a look at what people have to say. So, Mary Garrett, it was excellent. I appreciated talking to him. I like what he had to say about helping me. So, that was her review. Roland Bass says, Jay is easy to talk to. He listens and he tells it like it is. Anybody who's experienced my over 200 videos know I will not pull punches. I will use profanity, and I am always straight to deadly to the point. I am not like Sally on TV that's going to get it dressed up in Gucci and just act like a Barbie doll, plastic. I'm always very real in the things that I say and in the intensity that I say things to people. That way you understand that what I'm saying is real, that this is not a choreographed, pre-recorded video. It is straight live. All right, Brian G says, Mr. J, Section 8 services are real and legit. At first, I was skeptical, but I gave it a try and booked a consult. Please email your story instead of saying it over the phone, as a consult is 20 minutes. I followed his instructions. Not only did we get into the RRH program, but I also got a Section 8 voucher. There were several cases earlier, about a month ago, that several clients were able to not only get a housing choice, they actually got multiple vouchers at the same time. Look, I know what I'm doing. I'm not suggesting a lot of you guys are going to get 4 and 5 offers of vouchers, but there are certainly cases where I have clients from states that are kind of weak. And what I mean is not a weak state. I mean that a state filled with weak housing authorities. These are the type of housing authorities where they run so loose with everything. But I'm able, like I said, like a burglar in the night, I come in and I pretty much, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I'm able to legally exploit what they do, and then clients get multiple offers, and then you pick. Look, those days are very tight. With this market, we're not getting multiple offers anymore. What we're doing is we're having to approach many different housing authorities and then utilize every tactic that I've ever used over 20 years in order to get it. And as a reminder, what I'm doing is not illegal. Okay, it just means, look, the same way that when somebody's convicted of a crime, they go to a court, you hire a lawyer. Like, you better call Saul, right? I'm bringing up a lot in my videos because I like that guy. Look, if the lawyer, the crooked, well, you say he's crooked or he's just a bad ambulance chasing lawyer, right? But he knows how to jump through loopholes. That's what I do. I'm exceptional in that. I know what my talents are. That's the reason why my YouTube channel is not filled with angry people that paid and got nothing. In fact, you'd have a hard time over 200 videos, barely finding any video with more than 6 dislikes. Look, I can go on a lot of YouTube channels. They wish they only had 6 dislikes. By the way, dislikes cannot be changed. They cannot be influenced and they cannot be removed. So that in itself tells you. Now, I can remove all the comments I want all day, but I can't change thumbs up and thumbs down. So it tells you right there the veracity of this. I cannot influence that. Anyways, let's take a few comments real quick. Lady T. I'm sorry, Rose. Manifestation. Nikki. Hello, Mr. J. How are you doing, Nikki Jenkins? It's been a while, girl. How are you doing? How is your case going? Gale Resources. She actually is a good resource. I always bring up Gale Resources. She's excellent. She works in a very similar way that I do. You ought to be smart to talk to her if you ever get an opportunity. Tamika Robinson. Hi, everyone. Welcome, Tamika. Glad to have you. Lady T says, thank you, Jay. I appreciate you being here. And looks like we got a new name, Star Cluster. Hello. So how are you, Star Cluster? Glad to have you on the channel. For a Friday, you always know that Friday nights are a little bit slow because the numbers aren't quite as high. I usually have about 50 visitors at a time, but today looks like we're staying steady at about 20, but that's all right. Maybe it's not a hot topic. Now, as I always tell you guys, if I'm willing to set my hair on fire and be a teenager and do something ridiculous, my channel will be flooded with people. But since I'm out here trying to help people get housing, do something real, I don't get that many views. And besides, I don't think a lot of people find Section 8 consulting or getting vouchers to be that interesting. But just if you ever want to have a YouTube channel to help people, just remember, it's not interesting. The kid that set himself on fire, jumped off the roof and lost a leg, for fun to make ad revenue on YouTube, that guy will get 1 million views. I'll spend my entire life making these videos and I'll never reach probably 1 million views. It's interesting how we as humans put priorities in what we watch and what we do and what we find interesting. So unfortunately, I'm not setting myself on fire and I'm not a teenager. So I guess I'm just going to have to stick with you folks that need my help. The few that come. So Justin Samuel, here's another review. Jay's the best, honest professional. He's short, sweet about it, but appreciate that. Tamika Dunway says, I learned a lot in my short session. Very professional, friendly, and a helpful thumbs up. And George Alameda says, Jay, you are a rock star. See, I like it when people use a little bit of lingo in there. So he says, I'm a rock star, and thank you so much for all the help. We truly appreciate you. You were incredible, patient, and informative. We could not have done it without you. And I'm going to read one more. Angela Martin just says, great, and that was that. So I'm going to move back to a few more comments real quick. Let's see. Jennifer Hamilton. Hey, Jay. How are you doing, Miss Hamilton? Good to have you on the live chat today. Hey, guys, if you got questions about Section 8, it's not just about me glamorizing reviews from my website, okay? Y'all are more than welcome to ask me questions about housing, child vouchers, low-income housing, and Section 8 housing. I don't mind. That's what makes the videos more interesting. So Jennifer Hampton says, it's only interesting if you need one. Yeah, you're right about that. So we're going to move on. Chandali Hockley says, I would highly recommend Section 8 consulting. So I appreciate her very brief. Jada San Diego says, very informative. Shanice Walker says, great customer service, very knowledgeable. We'll go above and beyond to help. I really enjoyed my session. I hope everything works out for myself and my family. I can't wait to see the outcome. Thank you so much. It sounds like she gave a review before we actually see the results. So I always appreciate enthusiasm. Lauren says, so really so helpful. Highly recommended him. He's serious. Invest in him. Number one legend. So I got called a legend. I appreciate that. See, my old school ladies, My old school guy, ladies and men, always tend to use rock star and legend, so I appreciate it. It kind of pumps me up. It's nice to get a little bit of appreciation through reviews. So yeah, looks like we got a few more comments. Take those real quick. Olivia Boyce says, back in January, I tried to pay for my rent, but they refused to accept it, saying that I owed for previous. But it didn't say that they don't take partial payments. What can I do? Well, you can't. First of all, you cannot legally refuse rent if it's the whole amount. I think that's where the disconnect is. So unless you're by mandate of a judge in a court, any court that says you have to pay all that rent back immediately, then they would have to accept the payment. If they don't want to accept it that way, then you cut a check and you slide it on the door and then you snap a photo. See, that's the kind of shit the slumlords pull. And so if they don't want you there, then they should have just come out like a grown person, and just said that. But from a legal respect, they can decline partial payments. The only way to remedy that is either they agree to a payment plan with you or you give them the whole payment. So there's not a lot of room with that. Gale Resources, we could think up some safe stuff for you to do. Yeah, you're right. So when it comes to making videos, I don't know. Hey guys, I don't know if y'all know this, but I mentioned in many of you my other YouTube channel, the Houston Rock Shop. So those guys that enjoy gems, minerals, and stuff like that. For those of you jewelry makers and spiritualists and stuff like that, you should check out that channel sometimes. Matter of fact, I'll give you a link to that real quick. So we're going to bounce around a little bit in the conversation. We're not just going to stick to one thing, folks. I know some people are here for one reason, some are here for another, some are here to be entertained. So I'm going to give you a web address real quick. It has my YouTube channel on it. Just something interesting to check out. I'm not suggesting that there's any correlation between Section 8 Consulting and my other company. So I'm just, as a matter of interest, putting it in the comment section of this video. So this is a live chat, and also you can find it in the description, okay? Going to check it out. We're still in development with that, so... looks like we have another comment. Michelle, in August, my landlord accepted a payment from CAC. Okay, that's abbreviation. For the entire balance of my rent owed up to September 1st, I've received a notice that my rent is going up $300. If I can sign a lease at $500 if I don't. Well, landlords can make an appeal every 6 months to raise rent. But here's the deal, guys. Anytime the landlord goes up, it means you're also entitled to reach out to the housing authority and have your rent reasonableness adjusted to match the course of area medium incomes. In other words, times are changing, rent's going up, you're entitled as much. So he wants to raise his rent, well, that's fine. Go to the housing authority. Hey, here is the raised rent. Now I'm going to apply every 6 months to have my rent adjusted, and you're entitled to do so. A lot of you guys don't realize that, but every 6 months you can make an appeal to the housing authority to have your rent reasonableness adjusted. It's not just the landlords can benefit from being a snake in the grass. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to be a little bit of a wolf in sheep clothing and take care of you as well. And to do that, you'd want to have your rent reevaluated, reinspected. There's lots of ways to deal with shady landlords and make their life miserable. But I'm not suggesting that's your situation, but that's what you'd want to do first. David says disability and me homeless from disabling housing. Not quite sure I got that, brother, but I got to tell you this. There's no reason for you to be homeless unless you're in LA and New York, okay? They have all kinds of programs for that. Now, I'm not talking about shelters. I'm just suggesting, David, that we could put you through SBDAT, through COC, Housing First, and other programs, as long as you're clean and you're sober and you're willing to cooperate through the process. All of this stuff is a process. Let me tell you a story real quick. I deal with a lot of middle class people that used to have jobs and a nice home and all that. They've been forced out of all that. Now they have no job. They went from middle class to zero class. They're learning what it means to be low income. They have to adjust their attitudes. And a lot of them started calling me for consults. And you talk about some self-righteous people, man. I paid you, so just give me a call when you have the voucher. Yep. And I just tell them, hey, here's a refund. And when you reach the mental ward, when you snapped and lost it, you come back to me and you talk to me with some fucking respect, and I'll assist you with the process of getting that voucher. Okay. But yeah, I got a lot of people that are, I call it lollipopping, because they're so far from reality. They want me to call when I got the. I don't even know nothing about the client, and I'm. What am I supposed to go to purchase the voucher out of the machine? You're just talking about ignorance. So yeah, we went through a phase of that for 3 weeks. Self entitled people, man, that was a rough week for them because they kept getting hung up on and refunded. And then they realized, wow, now I'm under the bridge and I've got nobody to call. That's how you solve stupid, because the thing is, I'm here to help people that are serious about it, that want to work through their case and learn. But if you're entitled, good God, no, I'm not interested. You can go to that other YouTube channel where they give you 3 tips and tricks of how to get a voucher in 30 seconds. Now, that's a load of shit, right? Lots of YouTube videos will lead you straight to hell. Those people aren't consultants. They just want you to click on their ads. They don't know anything about housing, but people take advice. Let's move on. Michelle, it's in line with the local rates. It's too high. I'm not on the housing. Oh, you're not on housing? Okay, yeah. Well, you might want to look into subsidies with that, possibly, Michelle, if you have qualifying issues. To be frankly, I don't know a whole lot about your case, so it's hard for me to say what could be available to you. That's tough. A lot of people frame it up as, I'm having difficulties. I need help with the rent's too much, but it takes asking a tremendous number of questions because what I'm doing in my mind is I'm rolling through subsidies, I'm rolling through lich programs, I'm rolling through housing vouchers, and so different funding levels. So you look at vouchers alone are attached to well over 100 types of vouchers and other programs, state and federal. So with more questions, I'm able to disseminate what might be the best solution with a person. So it's hard to solve this kind of problems in chat. So I got to tell you, your best option, Michelle, is really to consult with me so I can ask the private and personal questions that I need to see how it can be done. George Henry, what do you think about San Diego? Well, I love San Diego. I got 2 landlords out there that own properties greater than 100 units, and but it's a tough market right now. A lot of people from LA have flooded to San Diego, and San Diego is struggling with the housing market. It's struggling with the rising rents. So I think San Diego is a wonderful place, but I just think that it's a tough city at this point to be able to get anything out of anymore. So yeah. Oh, hey, Michelle. Michelle says that I really appreciate your input. Thank you. No problem, Michelle. I was just trying to guide you along there. There's a whole lot, Michelle, that goes into these things. Imagine we could walk through my mind. It's like trying to look at. I'm looking at so many factors. I feel like a robot sometimes when I talk to people because I'm probing you and your answers to see so many things that are trial and error that I've done. So I kind of know how to get through that process in my own mind to get people what they need. So it's a bit of a thing. Let's take a look at some more reviews from our company. For those of you who want to follow along, there's been links several times in the chat window. You can take a look at reviews for section8consulting.com. And again, we're taking more and more comments for low income housing, Section 8, and so on. So we talk about my reputation. One thing else I want to let you guys know with reviews, I am very straight up and honest when it comes to this. I do not care. I always tell people, look, if you're having a bad day, you're having a schizophrenic day, you're having a bipolar day, maybe you're just angry at the world. If it makes you feel better, go give me 1 star, write the worst review ever. My life does not hinge on reviews. I'm not scared of them. I don't lose sleep over them. I've always told people I don't live and breathe by that kind of stuff. In fact, I welcome any kind of review. It can be 1 through 5, don't matter. You see, that's the intensity of somebody being real. People that are scared of stuff like this should not even be in my industry. Okay. Anytime somebody's got a perfect record, that something's up. Okay. So I'm just let you know, man. If you get a cheap thrill out of that, go for it. So, anyways, Joyce Morales says, I'm so grateful I found Jay's services. He had helped me through getting a Section 8 voucher as well as rapid rehousing voucher. So she was another dual client. We went, there was a point where I was going so hard and so fast with some clients that like I told you guys, they were getting multiple offers of vouchers. So sometimes I actually overdo it. If you catch me on a Monday, man, I'm going to tell you, I'm a warrior. Sometimes, especially when I don't like certain housing authorities, I've dealt with certain housing authorities over and over and over. I'll go after them with such force in the whole area to get my client something that sometimes I overdo it. And good examples. One case, the lady had 6 voucher offers. That I was completely just hammered the hell out of the that particular area of that state, and I nailed their ass to the carpet straight up. It really does come down to knowing. You know what you know, and getting that done. So, anyways, Zahora says I was very another review, by the way. I was very happy because now I understand everything. How things work. I would also like to say thank you very much for your explanation. So that's a review. Joe Thompson says, information provided to me was a blessing during perilous times. She's actually the class using my own language in this world, and immediately scheduled a follow-up appointment to help me continue to fight the good fight. I can tell you that case was a difficult one. Not everything goes quickly and easily. Ellie Torres Guzman. Hey, Roulette, was very pleased to speak. A very kind man. Get well. I believe that was during a different period. So I'm going to stop with the reviews for now. Again, y'all can take a look at these reviews directly from the website. And I'll give you a link again for those that require a lot of social proof. Hey, look, there's a tire kicker born every minute. I'm never going to make it my job to convince a tire kicker, man. Well, you like the reviews, you don't. So what are your options? I always tell people, look, I told somebody this morning, I said, look, you need help with consulting, you want a voucher and all this. So here's your option. You've hired me, or you have the option to go hire the second best, the third best, or the 10th best. So look, I'm already at the top of the hill when it comes to this. I know that I'm the best in the nation. There's no disputing that. YouTube doesn't dispute it by ranking me number one. Google doesn't dispute it by ranking my company number one. They don't put scams at the first page at the top. And especially, it would be the longest running scam ever, wouldn't it be? It means YouTube would allow me to make videos for 7 years and never have a problem with it. Google would rank me number one above some of the biggest companies in the nation to do this. Why do they do that? Not because of good SEO, because I'm good at what I do, and more people visit my website than they do those cackling people that charge absurd amounts of money. Talk about being taken advantage of. So, anyways, I'll give y'all the link real quick. And here we go. I'm going to copy it in the chat. And again, you can find this link in the description along with many others. So that way you can look at the reviews. So look, we're up to 27 people. We might be at the highlight of the actual live video. So Michelle has left a lot of comments. Are you kidding me? I'm going to a shelter as an option. Oh, hell no. Michelle's been there, done that. George Henry, what do you think about San Diego? Okay, I read that one already. Going down. Gale Resources, dog whining too. Go out, take care of everyone. So Gale Resources apparently is left to go take the dog for a walk. I appreciate the comment, but I think that's about your pet. Kelly Raba is Lakeshore Cap, like a Section 8 voucher. To be frank with you, that name Lakeshore Cap. I don't recode what that might be, so I don't know what we're speaking specifically about. Ramona Johnson, what is the difference between mainstream and Section 8 vouchers? Nothing. Look, let's talk about all the clever names used. When you go to the housing authority, there are two things there. There is a voucher, which is mainstream. That voucher, a lot of people have given it the name Section 8 voucher. Some people will even call it a Section 811 voucher, okay? Besides that, you have the housing authority when it owns a building. When it actually owns the property, they call it project-based housing. When the housing authority gives you a housing choice voucher, a mainstream voucher, see all the different names. Too many people have to use too many names for this stuff. There's only one thing. It is a housing choice voucher, but a housing authority like to call it mainstream. Second to that, you have what you call subsidies. Subsidies or tenant-based housing. Subsidies are privately owned properties. They're not owned by the housing authority. That means they are tenant-based vouchers. And inside of that, you have a lot of different types of vouchers. About 138 so far that I've counted. And everything from Section 811, everybody's heard of, Section 504, Section 202. And then you go into sub-programs, BAWA, HOPWA, and I could keep going, Rapid Rehousing, PSH, and the list goes on. I'll make another video again about all the different programs and attached funding. And like I said, it covers a wide variety of people, but all of it is just simply a voucher, no matter what people call it. The process you go through is what we commonly call as going through, I'm going to get Section 8. The Section 8 has never existed in any capacity. I'm not even sure what it is supposed to mean. It's just something people talk about. you have a housing authority, and I guess you're going to go get Section 8. I really should look up the history of why people have such a high tendency to call this Section 8, but that's what they do. Moving on. We'll read a few more comments and see where we are in the time of the video. It looks like we're at about 40 minutes. So moving on, Evelyn Ninsley says Section 8 is very, and then goes on to say, I can only recommend them to those who truly seek him help. He's professional, and I can only recommend to anyone in California. Sometimes people have very limiting reviews, so I'm only going to be recommended by this customer would only recommend me in the state of California. So, you take whatever you can get these days. So if I only get recommended for one zip code, then I'll take that as well. Guilty Harry says, I'm so happy. I scheduled an appointment. There was a cancellation ahead of me. Jay was so kind to call, even while recuperating, an hour ahead of schedule. I learned so much, and I will continue with this consultation. Most of the reviews are like this. They're just general stuff. There's about 76, and that's roughly about 5% of all the people that I've ever dealt with. So not a lot of people leave reviews. I don't even do it. So, when I buy things on Amazon, they hound you every time per review. I don't always leave reviews. So, well, guys, if anybody has any questions, please do ask in relation to Section 8, low-income housing, subsidized housing, the mainstream voucher, the housing choice voucher, Section 811, Section 504, NED vouchers for the non-elderly, Section 504 for students, Section 202 for seniors, B8WA, which is Violence Act Against Women. In other words, people going through domestic violence. HOPWA, HOPWA, that's going to be for a person with AIDS or HIV that need housing. And the list goes on. If you recognize any of those programs or are interested in them, then that would be a great time to ask. If it's a personal matter, email. So I'm going to give you also a link to, all these links are already in the description, but I'm going to give them to you anyway. So let's see. I'm going to give you a link to my website, section8consulting.com. Put it in the comment section here. All right, now one thing I want to distinguish, somebody just asked, what is CHAMP? Look, every state and county can also administer their own program. So you may also get a city program. You may get a county administered program that has nothing to do with HUD. It has nothing to do with the housing authority. For instance, City of New York, Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and Bronx, and all those areas of New York, they have their own acronyms for a lot of programs that have nothing to do with federal dollars. It's taxpayer dollars from New York City, taxpayer dollars from the county. So a lot of times y'all give me acronyms of different programs, and I may not recognize them because they're not connected to HUD or the housing authority. So I don't know what up with CHAMP. I can think of a few programs that are named that, but I don't even know what state or county you're in, Jennifer. Sorry. So Peaches Greer, welcome to the channel. We're glad to have you. Look, guys, I do live videos like this. This was just kind of an irregular one about reviews for my website and so on. I do these live reviews in order to help people answer questions best I can. I can't do a lot of casework here. You're welcome to take a look at the website and the more than 200 videos, 7 years on YouTube and 20 on Google that I've done. It's quite a long, tedious amount of work. And I got to tell you, my life has been challenged so many times through this pandemic. I know everybody's had a rough time. And one of the toughest things out on the market has always been tough is getting vouchers, getting low-income housing, getting subsidized housing. And it's been made even more perilous with, the pandemic. But it hasn't stopped me. I'm as effective as I was from the first day to the last day through a pandemic or whatever. In fact, this pandemic did one thing that I never thought that I would see in my lifetime. It proved that I could deal with the greatest level of adversity and still get people housing choice vouchers in the most shitty situation imaginable. Even with housing authorities closed, I still managed to get a high majority. So my average success rate is normally around 93%, which means I have a loss rate where I absolutely fail to do my job the right way 7% of the time. The pandemic challenged me big time. It challenged me, and the numbers dropped all the way down to about 86%. Okay. Now, not all that percentage. So at 86, that means at 14%. It means I'm more than doubled the amount of times I failed to get client vouchers. But look, Not every case is simple. I've got people that have dementia. I've got people that have schizophrenia. These are people that are happy 15 minutes in the conversation, and then the last 10 minutes, I'm having to explain that I'm not running a scam because they've left this parallel universe and have gone somewhere different. I have other people that cannot socially function well enough to take assessments. I have others that struggle with alcohol and other issues. And I have other people that are too privileged and too self centered to even try to help themselves from the street. And I have some people that suffer from developmental delays that cause a very low IQ, and thus they're unable to participate enough to save their own soul. So there's a lot goes into those loss numbers, but there's one thing that's important to understand about that. Unlike these other people all over Google and YouTube talking all that bullshit, I'm the only one that'll show you my actually loss of the actual gamble that you take dealing with me. Yes, I am very honest about that, just like I am with the reviews, because people want the truth. They don't want to hear about you having 900 5-star reviews. You cannot truly judge the character or somebody's ability when you go out and buy a bunch of fake fucking reviews and you're selling people snake oil. That's the big majority of YouTube that talk about Section 8, and that's a big majority of what I see on Google. People out here like carpetbaggers selling snake oil, and you are doing this with elderly people, with children with disabilities, and everything else. You've lost your moral center. You're a con artist and you're a fake, and you're rolling around damaging people's lives that are at their most vulnerable point. So I can tell you when I deal with people in their housing and their children that require being on oxygen and they've been put on the sidewalk, I take that responsibility so seriously that a lot of what happened to me this year that caused my physical health to deteriorate was the fact that I was barely able to sleep. It also has a big impact on stress levels. Nobody likes to lay down and watch Netflix when you know you've got a 99-year-old woman in a homeless shelter that's rotting to death in there, and I'm the only person that could likely get her out of that kink. Or I've got a victim that's had half their fingers raked off with a kitchen knife because her husband is a crackhead and a fool. And now she's been thrown out of the hospital after she heals. They sew her fingers back on it, throw her to the street, and she can't even get a rubber mat in a shelter, not even a bologna sandwich. So when that lady comes to me, what do you think I do? Well, excuse me, ma'am, do you have Master Charge or do you have Visa? That's not what I'm here for. I don't give a damn about any else's money. I ask for that as a compensation for what I do to help people, but it's not a requirement. I'm not out here to become a millionaire. I do 5 appointments a day and then an hour and a half window, and I do it every other day. You see my point? So if that doesn't speak to integrity, then I don't know what to say about it. I've had lots of people try to challenge me over the years of what my motives are. My motives are very simple. I don't want the sick, the elderly, and children in the streets. Because if I don't care, then who the hell will? Look at every other consultant out here that does this work. Do you think for a minute you got on that phone and you started acting like you were bipolar or schizophrenic, you think they're going to hang up? They do. I actually work with the people that have mental health crises. I'm not licensed to do so in that particular way, but what I'm saying is if I don't help even those that are worst off, that struggle the most, and I can't be bothered with them and just hang up, then who am I really? What am I really offering people? So yeah, I've taken a lot of shit off of people that have lots of mental health problems and issues and crises and still managed to get them to vouchers. Okay. So yeah, it's a long walk in my shoes. But when I leave this old world, I won't have any regrets about the things that I've tried to do. I'll regret the times that I failed, of course, but it is what it is. So, hey, that was an interesting, sometimes the truth is good. It's good to get it out and let people hear it. And you can be the judge of who and what I do. But when this video ends, it ends, right? Then tomorrow we get back and we do it live again and we do our best. That's all we can do as humans. We just do our best to help out each other. So let's talk about a little bit more about these comments and see where it goes. Kelly Rape says Lakeshore Cap. Oh, by the way, Kelly Rape also says, but I was concerned because I have full credit. I have to find a Lampart that's willing to take a leader cap that will rent to me. I'm not quite sure about some of that, Kelly. We might need to get some more information by email from you for me to better answer what you're requesting. Preacher Gear, those housing situations are so unfortunate for so many. They are. And as humans, we have to intervene and do the best we can. Look, you got rocks in your driveway. The rocks aren't living and breathing. They don't care. Okay. That gold watch on my wrist don't care. The new iPhone that some of you have in your pocket don't care. I try to focus my attention on rescuing people and rescuing animals. I'd rescue the trees. I know they got DNA, but unfortunately, they're not going to be hurt or offended, and they don't need housing. So I do worry about everybody that I deal with. So it is unfortunate, but my position is I try to take misfortune, turn shit into cookies if I can. So I guess that came out wrong. But what I'm genuinely saying is, if there's a way, you can bet I'll hammer the hell out of every housing authority in the COC within 90 miles to get somebody what they need. If there's any play in it, I will find it. That's what I do. And if I don't do it, then who the hell will? I can tell you the social worker at the homeless shelter don't care. Those people gave up a long time ago. That's why they're working there. Okay, they don't want to be bothered. Every time you go to the homeless shelter, you go to the counselor's office. Look, she don't want to hear nothing out your mouth. She's just tired of looking at you. She don't even want to. That's I've heard so many stories about the failed counselor. The life's been wrecked. They're almost an inch from being homeless themselves. And so I don't recommend that you ever turn over your cases to homeless shelter counselors and all that drama, because most of those people don't know what the fuck they're doing anyways. Anyways, moving on. Jennifer Hamilton, hey, have a great night. We'll be contacting you. I look forward to it, Miss Hamilton, for sure. Peaches Gear, I've never been to a shelter and I'm really trying to avoid it. I have no idea the kind of drama that would cause my autistic son. And that's it. Now, look, when you start bringing in medical and mental, developmental delays, obviously, because of the autism. And I don't think it's a delay, it's just another form. But there are different types of housing we can address in regards to families that have disabled children in the realm of autism and other things. For instance, I deal with people with MS, MD. Now, that's not on the spectrum area, but there are other options we can review for that just to help you out. Okay. There's also wraparound support services. A lot of people get overwhelmed. You get on Google. The problem with Google is it makes you look through every website. You're getting one little trickle of an answer, and then you're getting another trickle. You're reading hundreds of web pages. You're having to type in searches 300-400 different ways to get it. Look, built a career on figuring out where they hide the stuff. Okay, the fastest way to cut through it. Look, you're not looking to get every service and every type of voucher. We want to cut directly to the programs that are worth time and effort. Problem is, a lot of people researching themselves, they have to go the long way. Look, I didn't arrive knowing where I know what I know quickly either, and it changes. It changes as quickly with HUD and with new presidents. They keep changing the rules, the policies, and procedures, and I have to keep track of that. And I'm keeping track with hundreds of cities. You know what I'm saying? In over 50 states, and so my job never changes. It's just a constant read to keep up. And then the pandemic, of course, affords us new twists, new funding, and it changes every day these days. So, Quincy Williams, how can I hire you as a consultant? Quincy, I'm going to just give you a link. And also, Quincy, in the description of this video will be a link to my website, all the reviews I've ever gotten, and also to my booking software. So I'm just going to give you my website real quick. You look it out. If you believe that I am suitable to assist you with your case, then you're more than welcome to touch base with me. We'll see what we can do for you. So that website there will lead you around, and you can take a look and see, whether or not I would be of good assistance. So, guys, we're reaching 53 minutes. We're going to hold down maybe another 6 to 7 minutes, make it an even hour, and then we're going to wrap it up. I know we have a short crowd. Friday nights, the night people want to do things. I probably should have picked a Saturday night part of this. The next live video, we're going to be addressing specifically Section 8 questions, and everything in the realm of that. And I'm going to try to bring on more about emergency housing vouchers that are being issued and other funding levels. So we got funded early 2021 by the Senate and all that. Can you believe that it's taken all the way till now for them to actually disperse most of those federal funds? So the effect of what they did, a lot of the legislators and people that were in control of this money sat on this money for 8 months. You know, when you're sitting in your little mansion and you're making 300,000 a year, and you can put that little American pin and act like an asshole and work in Congress or the White House and all that other stuff, and just sit on the money while people lose their house. This is what makes me sick about politicians. I don't care what side they're on. I don't like any of them. We should never mix politics with people's housing. That's bad news. Okay. And to sit here, and here we are 8 months later. And so we got all these legislators sitting in, the 900-acre ranches, having vacations, sipping bourbon, smoking cigars, and we got people that are living in the woods. Trillions of dollars, none of it has been spent. The housing authority still looks like a crack house with a bunch of idiots working in there. All that money, and we're just now actually spending some of it. It's just it just you sit there and you have to digest, just how stupid this is. So, but it is what it is. I have to work around that stupidity, but yeah. So we're now just starting to see the funding roll out, and I'm going to be tracking that very closely. And every time I see a big flow of cash to housing authorities, I'm going to try to apprise all of that so we can go and get anything that they've got to offer as quick as possible, including those that are suffering through homelessness, domestic violence, those that are seniors, the disabled. Even if you're a student and you're young, look, just because you're young doesn't mean you cannot get this. That's what 504 is for. Also, if you're a college student, anybody struggling to get housing, period. There's no elimination around part of this. Do not ever, this is the last thing I'm going to tell you guys before I close this out. Do not ever believe the things that housing authorities say by phone. Okay, let me give you a good example. You go and you shop on Macy's, right? Let's just say it's Macy's or JCPenney. You go to the website. What do you see? You see what they want you to see, correct? If they got too many comforters for sale, then that's what they're selling, right? Housing authorities operate by the same mandate. If they decide in that morning at their meeting at the little round table that they're going to tell everybody, hey, look, unless your house is burning down, we're not giving out vouchers. That may be the truth. That's what they're focusing on. But what they lie to you about is that they're also considering every other factor and every other special preference. But you left that conversation believing exactly what they wanted you to believe. The goal was met, that you got discouraged, you believed what they said, and then that was it. You left, and you're probably not going to call back. So they achieved the desired result. Stop calling these people for those kind of answers. They're not going to give it to you. So just letting you know. Look, I've enjoyed talking with y'all today. I think we're going to wrap it up, and we'll catch y'all again in the next couple of days, and we'll do another live. All right? Thank you. Y'all have a good day.